Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today with a video on Pathfinder, specifically the organization itself. Last year I did a quick look at the different branches of the organization. This time I'll be looking at another chunk of Pathfinder information, the Lodges. Let's get started. First, what are Lodges? Lodges are the operating basis for the Pathfinders. They are places to stay, places where adventuring supplies can be stocked, and places which have research libraries to be better prepared for adventures in the region, or beyond. Technically they can have information on other regions, but you expect them to have information on the region they're in. Anyway, lodges, after their founding, are expected by the higher-ups to be self-sufficient, the title of lodge being a badge of honor. With the Pathfinder's duty of recovering treasure, they are more drawn to setting up in old buildings instead of building lodges from the ground up. The first to be mentioned is, of course, the Grand Lodge, the center of the Pathfinder Society. Established in Absalom and with connections to both the Blockrose family and the Furry Logos, this is the seat of the Decemvirate, who is the main leadership of the Pathfinder Society. The location still has a venture captain, Ambrose Balson, but the location specializes instead in training of recruits and sends missions to other Pathfinders instead of going on missions themselves. Though it's not unheard of. Again, the Blockrose family, there's problems close at hand. Before we move too far from Absalom, the Tails is a lodge on the island of Kortos. It is not technically a lodge, having no sleeping space or library, but the speakeasy is a place where venture captains can meet in private. The Nexus House is the second oldest lodge, established by one of the four founders of the Pathfinder Society. Founded in Quantinium in Nexus, the venture captain, who currently is Sebnut Sen-Sercourt, goes instead by the local title of WhCOme. In the nation of the famed Archmage, it is no surprise that the Nexus House can boast both many magics, which makes life easier, as well as opulence to spare. As until recently the sole lodge in the Impossible Lands, I don't need to tell you the kind of foot traffic the lodge gets. Taking a look at other lodges, we go to Almos and examine the Church of Eredin. Bought and maintained, I guess it was founded before the Pathfinder Society, but maintained by the Pathfinder Society after Eredin's death. It is one of the largest lodges in terms of size, being able to host crowds others cannot. Not only that, but it has more guest rooms and a library only second size to the Grand Lodge. In addition, it is not just Pathfinders, but the former worshippers of Eredin who keep the building ready for any team which visits. We then go to Fessarian, where we have the forefront of exploration in the region, the Hyde March House. After the rise of the Rune Lords, Sir Caniven and Lady Delia Hydemarch of Megnemar opened their residence to those coming to research the court of Lysala. Again, when the Apples Consortium moved into town, these two assisted in ending the smuggling ring. Now the house officially a lodge, this is the launching point for all manner of exploration throughout the west coast of Avestan. Going over to Cheliax, the Pathfinders have been banned by the government. That does not stop Varian Jagar to convert his mansion, Greensteebles, to a safe place for Pathfinders in the area. The manor is known for its extensive library, which includes records tracking the rewriting of Chelish history, so the truth is never forgotten. Which, while we're in Cheliax, let's speak on the former lodge of Delvehaven. The lodge was one of the most prosperous before the Chelish Civil War. However, the war closed the lodge for a long time. Eventually the Therns ordered it reopened, but would not allow anyone but their Pathfinders in. And then suddenly, it was closed again, with none of the agents assigned there seen again. What tragedy befell a group we may never know, unless you play Adventure Paths. There are a few lodges in the River Kingdoms, the most known of which is Smine's Weaponworks in the nation of Timon. A small smithy run by adventure captain Hallgrim Smine and his 3 apprentices. It sits within one of the most stable nations of the River Kingdoms, and therefore finds itself the most common place for Pathfinders to operate out of the area. Elsewhere near Embereth Forest is the Greyfall Lodge. Built into an old gristmill, which is what it was formerly known because of it. It was founded by adventure captain Siren Fieria in order to study the Fae. Because of this, and because of the little foot traffic to the lodge, the location is mostly manned by the Fae, and specializes in investigating the First World and its mysteries. Winding out the area, still in the Broken Lands, and looking at 2 nations which are technically not River Kingdoms, we first look at the Exalted House of Razmiran. A recently established experiment, venture captain Nawson sees attempts to mix his faith with the organization he believes in. And while the common people and various Razmirian priests are not happy about the union, the shrug of Razmir himself has allowed the lodge to go forward, for now. And likewise, we have the Hajoth Hankodos Lodge, though this one is definitely for exploration of Numeria. A single foothold in the isolated lands, venture captain Dungal Hawksite works diplomatically with warlords in order to get access to restricted sites. That said, it's not like the strange and unusual cannot just be found wandering around the surface, if you know where to look at least. Finishing up in the region, we move away from the River Kingdoms and little more stable River Kingdoms, and find ourselves in Mendev, adjacent to the World Wound, at the Farlight Spire. Well, former World Wound, Saltquist now. A cathedral whose light still stays lit as long as it is manned by the faithful, venture captain Jossol of Laterbury made a deal with the nation in order to have the Crusaders among the Pathfinders man the tower. However, now the World Wound is closed, and Nilsen are not too keen on having them stay without rent any longer. How this situation will develop remains to be seen, but it's the perfect staging point to explore Saltquist Scar as it is now. Now let's move to Garund, starting with a look at Non-Tambu and the lodge known as Cheryl Smith's Exports. Founded by the now deceased Nyfor and Cheryl Smith, the lodge has a front of a trading post in the city's Grand Bazaar. Now run by Boloku Olamene, the lodge looks to increase cooperation between the Pathfinders and the Magambia. However, in Garund, one of the lodges which means the most to the Pathfinders is the Open Road Lodge. Long ago, the 4 founders of the Pathfinders found a door which would only open when only one of them remained alive. They swore to each other the last one would return and went separate ways. Well, it was actually a trap, one which the Pathfinders would deal with centuries later. And it was here, at one of the most important places in the organization's history, and a place one of the founders cannot leave without time catching up with him, they established the Open Road Lodge. One more, farther on the west coast, we find the Amphusis Lodge. Located in the capital of Vidrian, the revolution and anti-colonial sentiment drove the previous Pathfinders out of the country. Now Venture Captain Finns Valar works from the new lodge to help ensure amends is made. One more pass back to the Impossible Lands, one more recent founded lodge. We have the Niswa Lodge in Jamare. Just outside of the commercial district, this lodge, founded by Venture Captain Ramatavi Melopdra, it is made of rising stone buildings and benefits from various elemental blessings expected of the nation of Jamare. Leaving Demogni and the Impossible Lands for the Golden Road, where we look at Catapesh's Falsey Tower. There was once 4 lodges in Catapesh alone, but various circumstances left the Falsey Tower under Venture Captain Walesa Yule as the last man standing in the region. The 12-story tower employs many who are blind or seeing impaired, and specializes in research of divine magic. In turn, Osirian Sandswept Hall was once a prison. Since then it has been refurbished into a regular lodge, but it still is the best place to hold dangerous individuals. Venture Captain Norden Belentir used to have open run to examine the nation's various ruins. But since the crackdown of grave robbing by a Druid prince, such missions have become more covert. Let's do some cleanup by going to Talden, where we find the Apar Lodge. Despite having some connections to high place in government, the usual pompous Taldens are not a fan of the Pathfinders. This has led Venture Captain Musello to run the lodge out of the back of a bait and tackle shop, and having the libraries of the lodge limited. And just north in the nation of Galt is the Woods Edge Lodge. 2-story stone manor, this lodge is on tenuous grounds due to the local population's hatred of outsiders. Venture Captain Armeline Jonau has worked to make sure all trappings of nobility have been replaced, and all servants remain anonymous behind masks. However, it is worth it because of the hedge maze, the maze of the open road, which allows one to travel through various portals to a wide variety of destinations. We then move far north for a bit with the Iceberry Lodge in the land of the Norm Kings. Founded by Venture Captain Burstig Tosen, the lodge is a place to explore the icy northern reaches of Avestan. The location is also famed for the Frostfur tribe, a goblin tribe who have some of its members made Pathfinder, and now believe all of them are. Returning to the central part of Avestan, we find ourselves in Nemothis and the Ashfall Lodge. Located in the trees just outside the capital Tamran, it has long been used as a safe place to store and rest for the night, but recently the Venture Captain left to take up founding of a new lodge, leaving the location leaderless, an arrangement currently working surprisingly well. Just north is the Vudavani Lodge, located in Kalfis, the capital of Ustalav. Also referred to as the Haven Guard Asylum, the former Venture Captain Boomagard Thrice is one of the foremost experts of non-magical healing, and will heal Pathfinders without charge. However, with the rise of the Whispering Tyrant, the Doctor's hands have become busy, and so he has handed over the duty of Venture Captain to Evni Zongnus, who lost her own lodge to the Lich. Now for the land covered, let's look towards the sea, starting with the Arcadian Mariner's Lodge, better known as the Grinning Pixie. Originally called the Golden Barb, working for Cheliax-based Pathfinders, the second closing of Delvehaven led to Pathfinders just keeping the ship. The ship, as opposed to other lodges, maintains a 2-year cycle of Venture Captain, so no one captain can get too attached, with Eris the Needle being the newest we know of. And the second, more recent ship to join the Pathfinder ranks is the Risen Albatross, Under Venture Captain Stella Fane, former captain of the Grinning Pixie, this ship carries Pathfinders anywhere in the Inner Sea region with a port. Fane is also a free captain, and therefore her flag allows any Pathfinder ship to pass through pirate blockades. Finally, a mention of the Lantern Lodge. Once a group from Tianxi which was petitioning the Pathfinders to explore more of their home, eventually lack of interest had the organization take matters into its own hands. While still affiliated with the Pathfinders, them and their various lodges are more of an independent entity. Their main lodge is in Goka, while they also have lodges in Hogwart, Minkei, Nagajor, the Tongma, and in Absalom. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Someday I will actually look at the Pathfinder organization itself, but that's not this year. Next week, with the release of Divine Mysteries and with War of Immortals before it, we have one video which needs to be made. See you then.